And welcome back to another daily devotion. I'm Pastor Roy here at Woodlawn Christian Church in Lake City, Iowa, and this devotion is being recorded for Tuesday, October 18th of 2022. We are going to finish the 5th chapter of Hebrews today. We are looking at Hebrew chapter 5, verses 11 to 14. We've been talking about this Melchizedek guy. This Jesus is a priest in the order of Melchizedek. And now we're going to take kind of a little side road here briefly for the last little bit of chapter 5 and then the first portion of chapter 6, really the first 2/3 or roughly of chapter 6, and then we'll come back to Melchizedek again. Probably talk about him again either Thursday or Friday, probably Thursday, but we'll see how we divide this up. But for the next 2 days at least, we're going to talk about this warning against falling away. And really today it's more about this warning of that you just aren't quite digging in deep enough. You're getting distracted, really. More of a distraction, I think, than a falling away. Because remember, the impetus that I have about this, or the inference that I have about this, is that the Hebrews was written after the fall of the temple, destruction of the temple. And these Jewish people that this is written to are most concerned about what are we going to do? The temple is gone. And so their focus is kind of shifting back. They're falling away. They're shifting towards talking about or thinking about the temple and the sacrifices and the festivals and those types of things, and not so much their focus on primarily on Jesus. And that's where you're preeminently to be on Jesus. Now, as I read this verses 11 to 14 in chapter 5, you may be reminded, I am, and most people are, of verses that we hear from Paul in 1 Corinthians in chapter 3, verse 2, when he talks to the church in Corinth. And of course, the church in Corinth is going through issues that not necessarily that they're worrying about the temple. They're not that they're worrying about the temple having been destroyed. It's that they're having disruption and disagreements within their congregation, and they're forgetting the fact that we're here to serve Jesus. Now, that's a finger that gets pointed at most all of us, that we get distracted and caught up in. My mentor Bob always said that the number one thing that split churches was the kind of music you sing on Sunday, and the second thing to break up congregations is what color is the new carpet. I've seen churches that get into quite horrible debates about the color of the new counters in the kitchen as they're doing the kitchen. So it's true. So at any rate, in 1 Corinthians, Paul says in chapter 3, verse 2, to the church in Corinth, I gave you milk, not solid food, for you were not yet ready for it. Indeed, you are still not ready. Indeed, we are still not ready. It's time we grow up, is what he's saying. And that's kind of what the writer here in Hebrews is saying as well in these few verses that we're going to look at today. So let's take a look, verses 11 to 14 in chapter 5 of Hebrews. Now, he's going to start off with about this, and when he's talking about this, that's talking about Melchizedek that we talked about the last few days. And again, we'll be back to Melchizedek again. This is a little bit of a side road. He's going to say, he kind of says, So let's listen. About this we have much to say, which is hard to explain, since you have become dull of hearing. For though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the first principles of God's word. You need milk, not solid food. For everyone who lives on milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, for he is a child. But solid food is for the mature, for those who have their faculties trained by practice to distinguish good from evil. Okay, a little harsh there. You are just acting like a bunch of kids. There are times when we all do that, and there are times when churches do that, definitely. We need to focus on, we need to get back to what's important here so we can move beyond the elementary things and understand the purpose we're here for. The purpose, of course, is Christ. But we'll talk about that tomorrow more. But the point here is that they are dull of hearing. They're just not listening. They're not hearing because they're thinking about the temple and all of the things they can't do now that the temple's gone and the priests are gone. And what happened to the priests are, the whole thing's been busted, broken beyond repair. Because it never does get repaired, at least not until they bring back the temple, and then I'm not sure where they're going to find the priests because most of them are dead. But at any rate, I digress. You need to grow up. You need to get with the act. You need to start listening, because by now you should have been able to tell good from evil, and you're not. You're getting confused. And again, I think that's a hairy finger, a fat finger by the hairy hand of God pointed at us there, because many times we are fixated in these silly things, and we're not distinguishing what we're supposed to be doing, and we oftentimes end up being the whether it's willingly or by act of our egos, we end up doing the work of Satan. We are doing the work of the evil one, because we're disrupting the church. We're not getting things done. We are actually tearing things apart. We cause churches to split and all of those things. When a church splits, that's usually a sign that something has gone wrong there. Someone has gotten egos, because it takes more than one. Egos have gotten riled up, and rather than listening to the Spirit, they're listening to their own human pride, and that's usually pride is the tool of God, of the devil, not of God, the devil. So that's where I'm going to leave you at for today. We're going to pick back up on this for tomorrow, but that's all I'm going to talk about for today, because I don't want to jump into chapter 6 yet. So with that, please, please, please eat some real food. Leave the milk alone, spiritual milk. Have a blessed day, and please, please, please be a blessing to someone today. Tell them about Jesus. All right. God bless y'all. See y'all tomorrow.